Once you have installed the fan deck, you will need to cut out the fan deck radius or fan deck opening for the fan stack. To cut out the radius, you will need to know the normal fan deck opening required for the fan stack you will be installing on the coolant tower. You can find this information on the fan stack drawing. For this fan stack, the normal fan deck opening diameter is 12 foot 8 inches. Now that we have determined the diameter of the fan deck opening, we will need to find the radius. To find the radius, we would divide the diameter by 2. The radius for this fan deck will be 6 foot 4 inches. Once the radius has been determined, you will need to find where the center of the fan assembly will be installed. From the center of the fan, you will make a jig to mark the radius on the fan deck to be cut out. The jig will consist of 2 structural members. One fixed center member installed at the center of the fan and one member that will pivot on the center member where the fan will be installed to mark the radius to be cut out. You will measure the length of the radius from the center of where the fan will be installed and install a screw at the other end to mark the radius. Once the jig is set up, you will pivot on the center point marking the radius to be cut out on the fan deck. After the radius has been marked out, you will use a circular saw to cut the radius. It is important to set the circular saw's blade depth so that the fan deck support will not be cut. You can do this by putting the circular saw on the fan deck with the blade on a fan deck support and adjust the blade depth accordingly. Once the proper blade depth is set, you can cut the radius out. When removing the fan deck pieces that have been cut out, you may need to use a sawzall to finish the cut to free the fan deck for removal. After you have finished the task, it is important to clean the area to ensure there are no tripping hazards from material laying on the fan deck. After the fan deck has been cut out, fan deck bridging will need to be installed between the fan deck supports where the radius has been cut out to stiffen the fan deck. You will measure between each support and cut a structural member the same dimension as the support to be installed as close to the radius cut as possible. The bridging will be installed with clips and screws.